We're live. Hello, everybody. It is
Hello.
9:59. Oh, look, it's Doug. So we are about to go jump into our 10 o'clock Friday lives here at Master of One Coaching. I'm super excited to be with you today. This is my, I think, third broadcast, and I am upping my game technologically today. I have figured out some camera things. I have joined StreamYard. I have, and I'm started on YouTube today. So come join us. All right, and we're going to bring Doug into our Instagram feed. Look at this. It's like the magic of the internet. It's so exciting.
Did I hit all the right buttons?
I think so. It says waiting for Paulson. Hang on a second.
I need to enable my microphone access? Sure.
And we should be live on Facebook as well. So good morning, everybody.
Did that work?
Thank you so much. I think so. It should be there in a second. It still says waiting. So let's see. It still says waiting. Want to try again?
Yeah, a lot of delay and catching. Request.
I'm going to send you a request now. Okay, that should work.
Go live.
There we go. There you are. All right, I'm going to turn my microphone so we don't have crazy.
Yes, I turned my volume down.
Echo. Oh. Perfect. All right, for those of you creepy, someone said it was creepy. Do you know that person, Wendy?
Wendy?
Or she just saying creepy just to troll us?
Oh. I'm trying to go live with you on Instagram and it won't remove the invitation. Am I already
live there? Oh, no, you left.
And now I'm back.
Great.
What's creepy is that you are in the future on one of my screens and in the past on one of my screens.
That is also creepy. All right, I'm going to send another invitation here. Good morning, Jennifer Tonis from sunny San Jose, California. Thank you for joining us this morning. All right, Doug, I just sent you another request. Hopefully you can. There you are. Got it. Okay. Perfect. All right. Someday I will get super smooth at this technological stuff, but I'm not there yet. But I'm getting better every time, so I'm very excited because it's only 10:01 as opposed to being 10:08 last time. That's when we got started.
Good. That's pretty good.
Success every day. All right, so thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. Good morning, Mia. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And I am so excited that my dear friend and amazing voice and speech expert, Doug Paulson, is joining us today. He is, well, I can't start this off without saying that we have been dear friends for a long time, 24 years. But that is such a privilege to be friends with Doug, not only because he's a wonderful human being, but also because he is an incredible expert and leader in his field. And so it was a no-brainer for me to bring you on today, Doug. So what I'd like to do, rather than gushing about you on my side, I'd like you to tell a little bit about yourself to our viewers. Hi, Jonathan, and hi, Ichiko. Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Merritt. I want to gush about you just for a second, too, and say thank you for having me. It's been such a privilege and a pleasure to work with you. For as long as we've been friends, we might also want everyone to know that we have recently begun a mutually beneficial professional relationship, offering each other our services as coaches.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hang on one second. Jonathan's saying there's a lot of echo. So, Doug, is your voice down on your phone?
It is. It
I'll
was.
turn mine down a little bit too. See if that's better. Thanks, Jonathan.
Oh. Maybe if I turn that one off and this one on, I can hear you. How's that?
I think that's better. Oh
no.
Someday you guys are going to figure all this out.
Voice expert, not a tech expert. I suppose it's because I have my devices so close together so I don't do this all the time from camera to camera. Is that better, everyone?
That seems better, yes.
Okay, so maybe it's just going to be shaky. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so start again, please.
So thank you, Merritt, for having me. My story, as far as this work is concerned, is a pretty clear line. I started my formal voice training as an undergraduate acting student at NYU all those years ago that we've already talked about. I've always been a singer my whole life, so I've always had a pretty strong personal relationship to my own voice. And it was through my studies as an actor that sort of got turned on to how much voice work opened me up as a person, not just an actor, but opened me up to myself in a bigger way and to bigger ideas of what it means to express and communicate and connect. And so I started teaching voice for actors right after I graduated from college, and then discovered my passion really for facilitating other people's journeys to this discovery that really opened me up in such a huge, beneficial, and profound way that I just wanted everybody to have the experience that I had. And so I went back to school. I moved to the UK and went into a program there that was very voice-centric, which opened up the world to me beyond performance and introduced this work through the lens and context of the corporate sector and non-performers. So when I came back to New York after studying in the UK for a couple of years, I focused on working with non-performers to sort of get my roots a little deeper into that world. I have since returned to teaching young actors. I'm an associate arts professor at NYU now, working with first-year students on the beginning of their journey, which is just one of the most exciting places to be on this journey, I think, in my experience. And yeah, I've been coaching now privately for about 6 or 7 years in the non-performative world, not just corporate, but non-performative world, though I've been working with actors in a one-on-one context for about, I don't know, again, years. Let's say 20. We'll round it there.
Round it up.
Yeah, that's my story as far as like how I'm here now doing what I'm doing. It really started with that discovery of my own and how much that mattered to me and how much that meant to me, and sort of what I gained from it is what I wanted to share with anyone I could.
Yeah. And when you're talking about it, your passion comes through so clearly. So what was it about the voice that inspired you to pursue that?
I think the discovery for me with relation to my voice was the power and the privilege that it offered me. I teach oftentimes using the phrase, the voice is the primary means by which we connect and communicate. And then I have to remember that, right, not everyone actually has a voice. Literally, not everybody has a body that will produce vibration in the larynx so that they can be heard. But when you think about voice in the abstract, we use that word as a catch-all sort of for representation and identity. And so we say things in our language like, underserved communities don't have a voice in this conversation. And so the amount of responsibility that comes with having a voice is what inspired me to become as clear and as specific as I could, and as intentional as I could be with how I use my voice, the things I say, the impact that has, and how I feel about what I say when I say it, which, if we get into the nitty-gritty of beginning this voice work journey, is all about connecting to self, truth, the emotional life, the inner life, and breath, and so many facets. I'm going to jump down 8 rabbit holes every time you ask me a question. So keep pulling me back out.
Well, so let's connect that then, because what you're talking about, this sort of the double meaning of voice, right? We've just dug into that a little bit, and the physical production of voice, and also what it means to have a voice in a conversation, whether it's a one-on-one conversation or a political conversation or a social conversation or in a classroom, right? I know you and I have talked before about your students having a voice, not just helping them have a voice, the physical voice, but having them developing their voice as artists, as individuals, as active participants in our democracy, in our culture. So let's connect that, because this is a leadership focused broadcast, right? Let's connect that to leadership and how the voice, how can we, if somebody is struggling to get their voice heard, whether it's the physical voice, well, whether it's probably both, it's both and physical voice and also their contextual voice, their
message,
or just feeling confident about that. How can we connect that to somebody who is struggling with that and, leadership role?
Yeah, that's a great question. The struggle of confidence is probably the kernel that brings anyone I work with to work with me. It's either I don't feel confident in the sound of my voice, or if anyone's listening that's ever heard themselves on a tape and thought, oh God, I hate the sound of my voice, right? I think we've all, we've all been there. And so imagine that your attempt to step into a role of leadership and responsibility and bring with you that insecurity is going to undermine your ability to lead effectively, right? When you think of leadership as needing to be stable, needing to be trustworthy, needing to be secure so that your team can relax and be led, right? So they can play, so they can explore inside of the structure that you as the leader are providing. If there's that kernel of insecurity or a lack of confidence in just even an ability to be understood or heard technically, all of that leadership quality is undermined. I believe that through a process of developing a confident, strong relationship to the physical voice that you use to express, sort of bolsters that relationship to the self, to confidence in where I stand in my beliefs and how I express and communicate them. A, because I have a voice that I am grateful for and using responsibly to express that, but also B, because I do that in a way that feels tied to myself, that feels tied to my truth, and that doesn't keep me from expressing that fully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's major, I think, right? And I've seen a couple people, like some comments coming in. Jonathan says he's been there, right? And Eve is waving, hi, Eve. And I know that you and I have worked on that a lot too. I came to you a few months ago and said, I know I'm pretty good at this. I want to get much better. And even last night, you and I worked on, which was really tough, on my own story and telling that story in a way that is both honoring of the story itself, and also honoring of me telling it, which is something that I was am struggling with too. So this is not something that all of a sudden we switch a light switch on, right? And they come to you and say, okay, you're all better, right? And it's just like any process of learning, it is something that we evolve with over time.
Yes, if I can talk to that, it's
Please.
What you've just identified is this other sort of pillar of my work as a coach, and also in the teaching that I do with young actors, which is that understanding your voice and how it works is really an analogy and a parallel for understanding yourself and how you work, right? And so being able to master, or at least skillfully and intentionally apply your voice in those moments of leading, or in those moments of speaking or pitching or selling or telling a story, applying that skill can help you maintain the confidence and the stability in the self, in being present, right? That for those of us who all identified not liking the sound of our voice, we might also have had an experience of taking a breath and experiencing a feeling that then changes the way that we sound, right? Like I can't talk about that right now because I'm getting choked up. We use the words choked up to talk about choking ourselves from feeling something. We hold our breath, right? Or when we get so mad that we can't say anything, because if we make that sound, then all those feelings are going to come out. And I'm a real firm believer that all those feelings and all of those thoughts and beliefs are what make leaders powerful leaders, right? They understand the responsibility and the privilege that they have in those positions to be steadfast in their beliefs because they are steering that ship. And if you don't have a practice of allowing your body to physiologically experience all of that truth and then let it come out in the sound that you make, I'm not sure how we can say that as a leader, your work is as stable, right? But that's a big blanket statement that I just made in an effort to suggest that everyone can benefit from this work. Not just leaders, not just actors, not just singers, but anyone who wants to deepen their ability to connect with their listeners, deepen their ability to express in a more full way. If anybody ever feels like, I tried, but I just don't think they got what I was saying. This work is also to help you understand the myriad ways available to you to connect to your story, to connect to your truth, and to let it out on sound that you can make. And this is all before we even talk about words and language and articulation, which is the next step and layer. Again, there's so many rabbit holes to fall down.
Well, we said before we got on here, how many times are we going to say, we could talk about this for hours. So I'm going to say it now. We can talk about this for hours.
I could talk about this for hours. I know we've only got a few minutes left. So I'm trying to be as clear and bullet pointed as possible to get those big ideas out there, just to excite people about the potential that they possess. Taking a breath and allowing that breath fully into the body is an expansive experience, right? When we breathe in, we get bigger. Quite literally, if we let ourselves. And so when you take in a breath, you are taking in inspiration. If you let that inspiration have the effect on you that it has, then what comes out is, you used the word conversation earlier, it is a conversation to your with your impulses, a conversation internally that then your team is a witness to. And as a leader, if you can model that work, again, you're leading powerfully without ever having to tell anyone what to do. It's just in your relationship to your voice, to yourself, to your breath, to your body, and to your security and identity, which is the word I haven't said yet. And I know I'm still talking, but voice with regard to self is really identity, if you think about it. It's not just the sound that we hear that we associate with, oh, I know that voice, that's so-and-so, but voice in the abstract, the collection of thoughts that it is, the beliefs that you expound when you speak your truth, all of that is sort of in that catch-all word of voice.
Right. Cultivating your voice as a leader, as an actor, as a politician, what are the kinds of, what's the rhetoric, what are the platforms, what are the topics that I'm passionate about. There's so much that goes into that word. And I just want to acknowledge a couple of people who have made comments here. Eve says that she's definitely struggled with her voice and her confidence. We've all been there, Eve, certainly. Even those of us who have studied this a long time, like I said, I came back around and said, I'm a pretty good storyteller. I want to get better. And I have a degree in acting, right? So there's a lot there. And Doug, I'm sure you acknowledge that you still work on it, right? It's not something that you ever become.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to teach this work, because it means that I get to constantly engage with my own process. It's perhaps slightly selfish, but I teach this work because it keeps me engaged with my own practice as well.
Yeah. And also I want to just check in here with Jonathan again. He said that control and modulation and breathing were all super hard when he was being coached to tell his story, which he told last week with Glad. It's a really powerful story. For those of you who haven't heard it, please go back and catch that replay. And you'll see, actually, he does this very well. He really knows how to set the tone of that very serious, very scary story, because he has clearly gone through the process of learning how to most effectively communicate that story. And so it really is, this actually brings me to a point that I don't know we wanted to land on. So I want to touch on this point real quick, but it brings me to the point of authenticity, right? And what you actually use the words control, modulation, and breathing. So that sounds like it could be construed as manipulation or inauthentic, but in fact, it's actually quite the opposite. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, I believe that is regarding more control, but not control in the way that is manipulative or oppressive control, rather management, right? If we do consider the voice and the breath as access points to an emotional truth or to an authentic self, then it can be pretty scary to unlock some doors into that self that might be darker. And if it's the first time, then as anything that happens for the first time, it's a surprise, and perhaps we may or may not possess the skills to manage our way through that experience. So modulation, breath control, pitch, resonance, having an awareness and skills around how to play with those functions and functionally in the body, having an awareness of what to do, can help you stay authentic without being thrown so far into the chaos of being a messy human being, which we all are, right? But we all need to stop pretending that we're not. When we take a breath into that, having the skills to manage the result is also what this work is about. So that authenticity is never a question. And if I can speak also just to this idea of authenticity, something that I deal with a lot in my non-performers that I work with is, I'm not an actor. Why do I need to study this? Or what is the benefit of this work for me if I'm never going to perform? And I just feel compelled to say that I think one of the biggest misconceptions about performance is that it is fake, or that it is not real or not true. When in fact, one of the biggest challenges for actors is to allow the pretend circumstances to exist around a very authentic experience that they manifest, so that an audience can watch them, hear them, and feel them, relate to them, connect to them, and go, oh my gosh, that was so great. I loved that play. I love that performance. I'm so moved. I really felt it. That's not fake, right? The actor's job is to get real under those circumstances. And so if you apply all of that to the circumstances of a PowerPoint presentation in order to sell a product to a conference full of 100 strangers or 100,000 strangers, you still want your authenticity present so that your audience can connect, can hear you, can relate, can get moved, can go, I'm definitely investing in this company. I'm definitely investing in this product. I am definitely joining that person's team, right? Because there's something authentic and human about the leadership that makes people respond in the same way that really human performances in the theatrical world or the film or TV world get an audience to cry on their couch or laugh out loud with their families as they're watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super powerful, and really it's a lot to chew on, because it really calls us, right? Voice work and also any sort of coaching around becoming a better self calls us to get in touch with the things that we are not comfortable with which we are not comfortable. So it's not easy. Voice work, and I can speak from experience, not only from 25 years ago, but also from yesterday, can be very, very uncomfortable. And yet it is the pursuit of honesty, the pursuit of integrity, the pursuit of becoming so clear in who we are that we are unflappable.
Yeah.
Because we can rely on ourselves, right? And we can rely on our voice, physically, but we can also rely on the fact that I know I can communicate what I want to communicate because I'm speaking with intention, because I'm speaking in a way that I know will help people understand and connect with what I'm saying. That is a skill that we can develop over time, so that we know we have the ability to connect.
Yeah.
Right?
And as weird or simplistic as this might sound, just the practice of repetition as a tool to develop skill is applicable in this sense. I think of baseball players don't just play baseball, right? They go to the batting cage and they swing, they go to the gym and they work out, they develop those muscles, they practice one aspect of that game, and then they get out on the field and play the game. So when you say something like, yesterday's session got a little uncomfortable, it's beautiful, because I imagine that anyone who's ever been in a leadership position has been met with an uncomfortable position around making a decision regarding their team or how to move forward. And just the practice that we were involved in yesterday of sitting in that discomfort and learning about the self. How am I responding to this discomfort right now? It makes my voice go, oh my gosh, up here, right? If that is the thing that happens, then we work on the skill of, I recognize that feeling is about to come, and I know how to keep my voice from going up there, because that's going to be my tell in this moment. But it's not just about keeping your tell hidden. It's also about really wrangling in all of that chaos in a way that you can stay grounded, stay secure, stay confident, and stay clear in your expression of all of that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Real quick, I just want to say that Julie from way up in she's a Canadian neighbor, all the way up in near the Acadia. She is telling us this is awesome. Love the statement that lack of confidence undermines leadership. Also, your comments around voice and breath, accessing authentic self is a great perspective. Thank you to you both. So thanks, Julie. It's great to see you here, and much love to you. And Steve Journey says that Doug needs his own TED Talk, which I totally agree with.
Hi, Phoebe. Thank you.
And so in the last minute we have, because I know you have to go teach your class in just a minute, could you please just give the audience one tip, one thing that they can walk away with that they can apply today?
Oh. I mean, it's so silly, but breathe. You got to breathe.
Breathe. Yeah.
This will start me, of course, on the other rabbit hole that I'll talk about for an hour, but your breath in is the key to all of it. Mm-hmm. Without your breath, you die. Right? That's the simplest sort of direct line to why breath matters. But again, the breath goes in, the breath is the inspiration, the breath comes out, gets turned into the sound that is the delivery system for the language that represents your thoughts, your ideas, your beliefs. But it all starts with the breath. And more often than not, because we've been breathing since birth, we sort of take for granted that we can do it. When oftentimes I challenge anyone who's watching today just to spend the rest of the day noticing when they're holding their breath. They might be surprised by how often they find themselves holding their breath, because we just so unconsciously expect and assume that it will continue to happen, which hopefully it will. Breathe. That's my one piece of advice. Breathe.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to let you go teach your class. I know it starts in just a few minutes, but it was so wonderful. And I'm going to have you back because there's so much more to talk about. So please come back.
I'd love to come back.
Awesome.
And thank you everyone who's here watching and listening.
And yes, thank you so much, everybody. And so Doug, I know you got to sign up, so I'll just say goodbye now. And I love you and thank you for coming. We'll talk soon.
You too. Talk very soon.
And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. It's wonderful to see you all. I really appreciate you joining us here at Master of One Coaching on this Friday Live. We do come every Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern here on Instagram TV, on Facebook, and now on YouTube. And we're working on LinkedIn too. So hopefully we'll get all of that situated very soon. But in the meantime, be well, and we'll see you next week. Please let me know what you thought in the comments. Give Doug your props. And if you need to find him, I want to let you know too that, by the way, his voice coaching practice is called DP Voice Works. So if you need to look him up, you can look it up by Doug Paulson or DP Voice Works to contact him about potentially working with him as your voice coach. I highly recommend him. He is amazing. So much love to everybody. Remember that your success is calling you, and you can find me here every Friday at 10 o'clock. Thanks so much, everybody.